Now, finally, thought bubble. The intoxication of Bitcoin is actually that you don't need a bank. You don't need the vault of the bank, and you don't need the bank manager to make the loans and to make the deposits. That you can do it with a digital currency and with an application and with all these protocols. So maybe in the future, so we started with kings who used God's money, and then the kings became corrupt and they diluted gold and they put lots of kind of rubbish in it, and that was called inflation. We then created banks which were governed by governments, governed by public policy, and their activity was restricted and tailored to their ownership of gold, which was in a fixed supply, and so their behavior was bounded. And then the banks escaped that via the checking correspondence system. They continued to escape that with the euro-dollar system. In escaping it and having a reserve-less banking system, they generated too much money. Just like in the 20s, they generated too much money and they created the devastation of a depression and a world war. In the 70s, when it really got going, they created the once-in-a-lifetime inflation of the 1970s that we all fear today, and it was a function of that innovation. And now today, we're in another 20-year depression, and the next step probably, having taken kings out of the money-making function, having taken governments out of the money-making function, thought bubble is, are we about to take banks out of the money-making function?
What's up, my friends? Capital Allocation here. Today is Friday, April 29th, 2022. Before I get into this market update, I just want to give a little bit of context to what we're seeing here. So here you're looking at the Federal Reserve balance sheet. If you notice, we are finally getting this tapering here. So with that in mind, it is not surprising to see what is going on in this market, okay? The market tends to have a high correlation with the balance sheet. So with this tapering here and with rates rising, we are seeing asset prices drop. Nothing surprising here. Make sure you are positioned for this. All right, and with that context, let's get straight into this market update. Here is the S&P 500 daily chart. Huge red candle on the day. We have interest rates rising. We have that balance sheet essentially tapering off, not selling off, but essentially stabilizing. No increase in these asset purchases. Driving the VIX up here to elevated territories, much higher than the normal range below 20. So we're here up around 33. A lot of puts entering the market. To be fair, we do see these puts in a position where previously this has been a high as far as puts, indicating likely a market reversal and some of that fear dying down. Unless you go back to what we had seen in March 2020 here. So that's what we're seeing here. Can these puts kind of put a wall on the lower end of this price range? Will the market stall out before going lower? It's going to be interesting to see here. So with the US market going lower, what we see is actually today the Chinese market was higher. We did see a little bit of selling later in the day, but we had a gap up here. Are we making a double bottom? This is going to be interesting to see here. I know I was checking out Ray Dalio's portfolio on Whale Wisdom. I'll put a link in the description below, and he's been buying Alibaba, JD, PDD, he's been buying individual large cap Chinese stocks. Does he know something that we do not know at this time? I'm keeping a close eye on China here. I don't know really what's going to happen after basically not being allowed to buy Russian stocks as a U.S. citizen. It makes me highly suspicious here. But China's a lot larger market. That type of disruption would be a lot greater. And again, with these billionaires like Ray Dalio buying, like I said, a lot of uncertainty, but keeping a close eye on this market here. Another thing I'm watching is Brazil. The reason I'm watching Brazil, they have a lot of really high dividend stocks, really good value from price to earnings and price to book perspective. And again, really high dividends. So this thing had been rocketing higher. And I made a video back here, I guess it was probably January or February, about the Brazilian market. And it looks like we may, even up here, there are some definite values here. With this Ichimoku cloud, it's looking a little rough at the moment, but will we get another opportunity to buy closer to these lows? I'll probably do an individual stock update on some of the companies I'm looking at in Brazil. So that is it for the stocks. Let's get into some cryptos here. All right, here we are with this Bitcoin daily chart, testing this previous trend line. Will the whales be able to come in and save this? Not so confident now. If we break too far down below this range, we could see another significant leg down here. If you look at the Bitcoin shorts, makes it pretty easy to see what to expect with the Bitcoin price. Looks almost like we've got a 4-bar play setting up here. If we reach above this previous candle, probably we're going to start seeing a lower price on the underlying asset on Bitcoin here. Monero, a little bit of a sell-off here. Again, pretty interesting technicals. We had this rising wedge. Usually you break towards the downside on some of these. Looks like we had a false, really a fake breakout, trapped everyone, and then resumed to the downside. So interesting to see kind of how that played out. I'm looking for a psychological threshold around that 200 level, hoping to see that. I think, to me, this is a buying opportunity. I don't know if the selling is over yet, but again, let's see, can we hold that 200 psychological level? Pirate chain trending down, almost rolling over on this Ichimoku. It's tough to say here. We have some support around 110 to 120, around $1 to $1.20. So probably heading towards that level, trying to find some support. With as popular as Pirate Chain is, seems like we're getting a buying opportunity. And with this cloud still, this has gone a long way. We're starting to get higher lows. If we get another higher low here, that will be amazing. Darrow, range bound here. It's tough trade here for anyone who is in Darrow. Probably we're heading down to retest the bottom of this channel here. So short term to medium term, I think that is what I'm expecting, a retest of the bottom of this channel here. Haven, again, I kind of warned on this a few times. Yeah, you could have had a trading opportunity here. Definitely this thing more than tripled in a very short period of time. But as I mentioned, this was really perfect. Just wicked the top of this channel here and falling right back down to that range. So low volume. What can I say? Will this thing spike again and try to test this channel? That would be definitely a possibility. We could get another run and potentially would not go as high as we had here. I could see that happening, but right now in a downtrend, so heading towards this $2 level. All right, so Epic Cash had that head and shoulders here. A little slowing momentum on the downside, but in general, with this head and shoulders, looks like we're going lower here. I mean, these things are pretty wild, so if you see a green candle starting to form, volume coming in, of course, all bets are off. But in general, it looks like we appear to be attempting a breakdown below this previous support level, potentially heading lower here. Ghost. So Ghost has been pretty stable here at a market cap of 5.8. It's been going between about 5 and 6 million. Here you have pretty fat staking rewards. So just kind of chopping around. You know, I'm happy with that. One thing with cryptos is when they have high volatility, it's really hard to use them as an actual currency, which in some ways defeats the purpose. With all the speculation in these crypto markets, you're just redistributing wealth between market participants. You're not really necessarily creating value. What really needs to happen is we need to build the actual network that will create actual value, transacting freely and independently in a permissionless, decentralized way, and having a stable mechanism to transact that with. Obviously, there's also incentive to make money, but when we're too distracted by speculating in these markets, it's easy to kind of forget about at least why I am and why I think many people are, and the main reason that we would want to use a cryptocurrency in the first place. Masari, just another one that I'm looking at here. Small cap, 235,000. The actual wallet, the functionality looks pretty good. So this one may be undervalued. It's gone up 23% today, but it's been getting killed for quite a while. So I think there are trading opportunities. Again, that's pretty quick, 23% in one day. These are likely again, but you're going to see quick moves on the downside as well, I believe. But this is one I like to keep my eye on, just because the actual wallet looks really good for how low the market cap is. Another interesting one, Turtle Coin. This thing's been getting killed. Another privacy coin. But it's been relatively stable here. Will we get probably some spikes like these back here? Possibly. We also have a kind of potential turnaround on this Ichimoku cloud here. We had that green cloud. It's going back to red. But if we see a formation that starts to indicate there's a larger green cloud forming, definitely an interesting one here. Another small cap speculation. So that's it for the cryptos. Just a few more words on commodities and then we'll wrap this up. So as we would expect with this market condition, gold is looking really weak. We have what looks to be a gravestone doji candle forming here on the daily chart. I could see this definitely taking another leg lower, especially as the this tapering kind of extends throughout the economy here. Silver really taking a hit here. Probably going to come down and test this support level. The fundamentals for silver are extremely strong though. I would be surprised if we break down below this support. But that will be the topic of another video in the very near future when we start to get down towards this level here. Again, copper taking a hit. Interesting pattern here. We have what appears to be sort of a Wyckoff distribution, including a double top here. So pretty interesting to see that. Looks like a breakdown. I mean, in general, I would be surprised to see this really drop very much here, but that's on a fundamental basis. On a technical basis, this really looks like this could be a real breakdown, and we might get below this previous support, which in general could, at a certain point, it's indicative of a weak economy, but these lower commodity prices could actually help in the real economy reduce these inflationary pressures. So we'll see if we get a further breakdown here. Definitely keeping my eye on copper. Uranium really had a head and shoulders here, kind of a retest. Here we're right at that previous neckline, and it looks like we're kind of consolidating around there. So really this is pretty neutral. I think it really depends on which way we go from here. Do we break towards the downside, or are we going to get a move towards the upside again? Right at that neckline, so really hard to say. Looks more like a consolidation here. The market really doesn't know which way to go, so we will have to see which way this breaks. So the rare earth metals, been watching this lately. Will we get a buying opportunity here? These things have gone crazy lately. Really tripling since 2020 here. Again, looks like we've got a type of Wyckoff distribution pattern. Kind of an Elliott wave thing going on here, followed by that Wyckoff, and now we're breaking down below that support. So if we get another candle going kind of down below this previous area, this is really confirmation that we will get further downside here. And again, with things like these rare earth metals, with silver, with all this, I see this as a buying opportunity. Even stocks within the S&P, we will see how much pressure will come on these stocks. What I think is with all these ETFs, sometimes what you get is a broad market sell-off, and the baby tends to be thrown out with the bath water, so to speak. So definitely looking for strategic opportunities here with this sell-off in progress. So definitely interesting things going on. I hope you guys are all well positioned in your portfolios to weather the storm so that you can come out on the other side and kind of take some of these opportunities as they arise. So thank you all for watching. If you guys want to support this channel, check out the link to my store in the description below. Got a lot of cool crypto shirts. If there's any particular coin you'd like me to make gear for, let me know and I will definitely add that. Got Pirate Chain, Monero, Ghost, different items. Got cups, all that. So check out my store. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.